and should not have happened. So what else are we learning? Let's ask Pennsylvania Republican Congressman and Chairman of the Bipartisan Task Force, Mike Kelly, is here. Thank you very much, sir. What update can you give us? What have you learned?
Well, I think what we've done, Stan, we took the first part of the accusations about who wasn't ready that day. It was about local law enforcement not doing their job. Once we got through that, we found out the local law enforcement did exactly what they were asked to do. They weren't asked the right questions at the right time, nor were they prepared on July 13th for what happened. There was no overall meeting to join all those forces together. So everything you look at that day was out of place, from where the perimeters were set up, for how we were going to communicate, for the setting of everything that took place. And then it comes down to, well, why didn't you guys just communicate with each other? We found out, well, we really didn't have the ability to do that day. And our drone, by the way, it wasn't flying that day. And so there's a lot of things that went wrong. And so the first question that comes up then said, well, usually you can prevent that by the proper preparation. How could you have failed in every single step of that? It is stunning how they were not ready that day for that issue. And when you look at it, you say, well, wait a minute. So who is in charge of this and who has oversight? And the answer is the Secret Service. And then the question is, well, where were they that day? And stunningly, they apparently just weren't on the ball that day. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't set up a communication situation. 2 different command posts without the ability to even communicate with each other. Everything that could go wrong, Sandra, everything that should have been prepared for, Sandra, was not done that day. The one thing that's consistent is that before 6/11, there was a suspicious person reported on for at least 45 minutes ahead of time. Suspicious person wandering around. Oh, we lost sight of him. Oh, wait a minute, he has a rangefinder. Oh, wait a minute, we lost sight of him again. The question comes down, if you weren't sure that it was a safe area, why did you let former President Trump come out on that platform? Why not just say, you know what, sir, hold tight until we clear the area and make sure that we find out who the suspicious person is and where they're located?
Absolutely.
Everything from happening.
I can imagine this is generating a lot of questions in the minds of people that are listening to this update from you, sir. I'll ask you mine. Do you have any reason to believe, based on everything you just said, I think we should get this out of the way, that there was anything more than flaws or missteps? Was there anyone who just blatantly just ignored the possibility that there was reason for concern?
Well, we're going to find that out, because the first effort we had was to make sure local law enforcement was exonerated for doing anything wrong that day. And then the next thing you stepped into, so you had a lot of local law enforcement involved. Why didn't you get them ready? Why didn't you prep them? Why didn't you give them the positions they were supposed to be into? And why didn't you have a meeting that day with all members on July 13th? Let's get together before this happens and make sure everybody's in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time, and the ability to talk with each other, to communicate with each other. That is unbelievable. That is so spectacularly wrong.
I think another big question.
Absolutely. And should not have happened.
Down the road is just accountability and lack thereof, and how we make sure this doesn't happen again.
Just like the border,
Really
they have no accountability.
Thank you very much.
None whatsoever.
All right, a new migrant. This reported caravan. Not aware of. It is aware of, brand new statement, this reported caravan, and did go on to say this, Sheriff. CBP will continue to monitor developments in coordination with our foreign and interagency counterparts, as we have with previous movements of migrants. Despite the decline in border encounters in recent months, smugglers and bad actors continue to spread falsehoods and show complete disregard for the safety and well-being of vulnerable migrants. The fact remains, the United States continues to enforce immigration law, and our borders are not open for those without a legal basis to enter the country. So, Sheriff, hearing that new statement, what is your reaction to it?
That's a feel-good statement, Sandra. We know it is. And that statement could have been stated 3.5 years ago, last year. Irrelevant. It's the action that speaks louder than any statement that you put out. That statement is supposed to make us all feel good, everything's good, we go back to our normal life. We know that's not happening on our border. We know that this border is in turmoil right now. We need somebody, it starts in the White House, it starts with you as Congress, 51%, to get together with your mayors, your sheriffs, your governors, and let's fix this problem, because they come because they can.
What's at stake with this election, Sheriff?
I'm sorry, what?
What is at stake with the upcoming election? 15 days to go to a presidential election here in the U.S.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Sandra, it really boils down to is if you want an open border and you've seen what's happened the last 3.5 years, Vice President Harris, your choice. If you want to secure the border, and President Trump with his report card when he was president, he's your choice. We have to decide, and I'll say this to all my fellow Americans, if we want a secure country, we've got to secure our borders first. We have to have somebody, and based on what I just said, to secure our country's borders.
Yeah, finally, Sheriff, you can't help but think, though, that this has been happening for a long time. And we know there are gang members infiltrating cities coast to coast right now. We know there are a lot of migrants that have come in illegal that we have not kept track of and are not keeping track of. They are already here. So what does the next few years look like? Even if there's a change in administration, what do you do about it? Final thought.
Well, this is where the collective thoughts are with state, and local, and federal working together, because the tragedies we've seen for 3.5 years and what we're about to see, we haven't even seen the head of this problem yet. When you look at the gangs, the drugs, the trafficking of children in our country, we're going to start seeing a real negative impact in every community in this country. We have to stand united on this. We have to secure this border, and we have to work together.
And you think about the impact on the economy, the impact on education. I mean, it goes beyond.
Vote for Donald Trump
what we're looking at the
and J.D. Vance
Sheriff, we always appreciate your time. Thank you very
and
much.
the team that will help
No
America.
tax on tips to no tax on social on our nation's police, firefighters, and military. It is something Trump says he would consider, but will it be hard to deliver? And how did a leak of Israel's attack plans on Iran come to be? The White House promising a serious investigation. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, is here with his reaction.
He would be open to eliminating taxes for veterans, active duty military members, police officers, and firefighters. Now, this isn't an official Trump campaign policy proposal, but it does seem like an idea the former president would consider.
Yeah, serving in this country, in the military, or a police officer, or a firefighter, and like you're young and you're coming up, and you don't have to pay taxes because you're paying taxes. It's almost an incentive to where you get people interested.
And other countries do that, as you know.
Yeah.
Other countries do that.
Of course they do.
In spades. Yeah, it's something I would think about. You know, something that nobody ever brought up. I've never heard it. It's interesting. Something has to be done.
If former President Trump were to actually follow through with this suggestion, it could impact around 20 million Americans. It would be huge. Trump has officially proposed making interest on car loans tax deductible, eliminating taxes on overtime and tips, as well as Social Security. On top of that, he wants to increase tariffs on imports and slash the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15% for companies that make their products in the U.S. Vice President Harris, on the other hand, wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%, but she's talked a lot about expanding the child tax credit and giving first-time homebuyers down payment assistance. She also took a page out of Trump's playbook when she proposed no tax on tips. Taxes obviously front and center this election, and the reason for that, Sandra, is the tax cuts that former President Trump ushered in during his first term. Those are set to expire at the end of next year, so whoever wins the White House could have a lot of sway in this conversation. Sandra?
Grady, great to see you. Thank you very much. Just a few moments ago, Kamala Harris on the campaign trail
Look at the debt,
doubled down on this call to raise the federal
which has to be looked
minimum
at.
wage. She did not veer into specifics. And
they're going to cut back on something. It's usually hiring. So who doesn't get hired? Usually the least skilled, least experienced workers. So this is something that hurts the ability of people to get into their first job, climb that job ladder. And it's at a time when the labor market's very tight to begin with, and we really don't need this kind of interference. So it's not a policy that's ever had a good track record. It's baffling to do it now. But as you can see, she's picking her favorites, trying to play to the labor crowd. And, there has to be some basic fairness in these policies. And I think that's a policy that is in a very disguised way quite unfair. It hurts the least skilled in the labor market.
And it happening also at a time when so many workers are fearing the move to automation, right? And when you see those wages that go up, mandatory wages go up, sometimes you see more of that. Doug, thank you. Good to see you. Cora.
This is the dangerous
And what you see in
trio
the
here.
former president of the United States
TV.
really is.
My goodness gracious sakes alive. And with this guy. Goodness gracious, what a racist he is. And has been his entire life. Shameful.
Black men
Shameful.
in elected positions. I am very clear. I must earn the vote of everyone, regardless of their race or gender.
So, Judge Al Sharpton is a staunch defender of decorum and misogyny. I would call him the Rosa Parks of hate crime hoaxes. Who can forget his dedicated defense of
Al Sharpton, shameful.
which launched a whole litany all the way up to Justice Smollett. So, in a sense, he really is a forerunner.
You are so right, Greg. I must tell you, your knowledge of history as it relates to Al Sharpton is really incredible.
Unparalleled.
Yes, it is unparalleled. You know, let me just tell you something. I mean, Kamala Harris, it's kind of interesting to hear her say she's been clear that she wants to earn everybody's vote. I mean, she ought to go out there and really try to earn it, as opposed to, you know, just reading scripted speeches at rallies. But more than that, I mean, calling on the Hollywood elite, call on Bill Clinton. He didn't do her any favors. He basically said Lincoln Riley wouldn't be dead if there was any vetting. That's no good. And Obama didn't do her any help, because Obama's the one who was talking down to black men, saying, you know, you got to vote for this woman, you know, and lecturing them about voting for a black woman for president. I mean, it's such crap. Plus, celebrities. No one listens to celebrities anymore. Nobody cares about what they think. Everybody knows that the Hollywood elite are leftists, and you know, being a celebrity is nothing more than a distraction. The voters want to know who Kamala Harris is, and they don't know it yet because she won't let them know.
She's an ultra-liberal that will be stomping on every godly principle known to man and women.
But I gotta make one more comment.
Shamefully.
It's Lizzo. If you ever needed proof of someone being more out of touch with Americans, when she says, yeah, we're going to make America like Detroit, you know, and it'll be terrific. I mean, unless she's talking about making Detroit great again, as in a MAGA making America great again, nobody's interested in Detroit the way it is. I mean, 34% of the people are below the poverty line. They don't have jobs. The crime is through the roof. You know,
I have to disagree with the judge, Dana. Celebrities do matter to me. If it's Philip Michael Thomas, who played Tubbs in Miami Vice, tells me who to vote for, I'm there with you, Philip Michael Thomas. What do you think about